12 rounds of boxing for the vacant WBO Junior Featherweight Championship of the World. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red, white, and blue, officially weighing 122 pounds. Professional record, 21 victories, including 18 knockouts with only 1 defeat and 1 bout even. He is the former WBO Super Bantamweight World Champion de Residencial Barbosa, Bayamón, Puerto Rico, WV2, Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing red, official weight 121.5 pounds. Professional record, 27 victories, including 18 knockouts with only 1 defeat. And he is undefeated over the last 10 years and has won 26 consecutive fights in a row. From General Santos City, Philippines, the 4-time world champion, the Filipino flat, Nonito Donaire.
Okay, guys, you see the pre-fight instruction. Recibiste las instrucciones. Protect yourself at all time. Protégete todo el tiempo. Give me a clean fight, una pelea limpia. Okay, and remember, no one is more professional than I. Let's do it.
Is Donaire capable of punching through one division after another, as Manny Pacquiao once did?
Well, at the
We need evidence.
yes, it depends on who's in the other corner. But he does have that ability, though, Larry.
Well, we will find out.
Back to the corner, Alekina.
Until he does it, he hasn't done it.
Round 1 begins, and you heard what Donaire said about wanting vengeance for what he saw as disrespect at the news conference. I don't care about the belt. I don't care about the money. I just want to knock him out.
Everyone has talked about the height of Donaire and his ability to move up in weight because of it, but maybe it's his stance, Emmanuel, but he doesn't show that he's any bigger than Vasquez right here.
No, it seems to be this is probably where his weight is. But, you know, Larry, it's so little different between the weight division, 122, 126. It's only 4 pounds. Unlike years back when it was like 126, next stop was 135. So to move from one division to another is really not that much nowadays.
Our measurements found Donaire to be 5'6", and Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. 5'5.5". So officially, there's only a half-inch height difference between the two, and that's pretty much the way they look in there, I think. One of the things I love about Donaire, Emmanuel, is his clear focus and concentration. The way he always has his eyes fixed on the target, and he takes his time. He's patient.
That's a very good part, Jim. A lot of people underestimate the value of the eyes, concentration, keeping your balanced position. He does everything perfect. He's always at great position from balance, as well as his head and body position. And right now, his movement and speed, upper body speed and hand speed, is a little bit too much for Vasquez. Vasquez hasn't did anything yet, but he's going to open up in a moment. But he's having a problem dealing with the speed of Donaire. And every time he does punch, I'm going to see Donaire waiting on him to try to counter punch. So he's a little leery whenever he does throw a punch that he's going to get caught with a counter punch.
In terms of foot movement and stance, Donaire's in a boxing mode, but he's throwing punches like Sonny Liston. This is a hard punching mentality.
You know, it was funny you mentioned it just when I was looking at the foot. Vasquez is a little bit flat foot, you know, with his feet is a little bit more flat as compared to Donaire, who's operating more from the balls of his feet, and that gives him a little advantage in moving in and out better than Vasquez.
But he's making Vasquez miss, and he's blocking whatever comes his way.
Left hook by Donaire. His best punch, or at least so it appeared against Montiel.
This looks like the 13th round of the last fight.
Take your breath right away, okay? That was good, Nito, okay? It was good. Keep your cool. Don't try too hard. We got plenty of rounds. Take your time. He's gonna fall into his own trick, okay? He's trying to counter you. He's waiting for you to throw, and then he wants to throw after you. He's slower than you, so you're gonna catch him when he throws, all right? Just keep your cool. Keep using that jab. Don't get too excited. We got 12 rounds, okay?
He's slow. When he brings your hands up, bring it up, right, baby? He can't hit me. Nickel power.
Vasquez was a second-year pre-law student in Puerto Rico when some family situations, including the murder of his father's grandchild, forced him to make another decision. And for the first time around in his late teens, he got into the ring, and his father made him work out for a year and a half before he allowed him to have a fight.
Comedy box numbers in the first round. Donaire was 11 of 44, and Vasquez was 7 of 29. Donaire landing, it appeared, the harder shots in the first round as well.
Well, Vasquez didn't throw too many punches in the first round. He's fighting a very conservative, laid-back fight. I think he's intending to try to step it up as the fight goes on. But also, he's having a problem with the fast counter punches, particularly of Donaire whenever he does punch.
Slip. And you saw Vasquez mugging at Donaire after Donaire hit him with a left hand shot to the body, and Donaire's response to that was to step up and hit him with the two-punch combination.
Yeah, well, trying to beat force with farce doesn't work very often.
Vasquez starting to unfurl his jab, but so far throwing one punch at a time. Obviously trying not to open himself up to Donaire's combinations.
Exactly, Jeff.
There's actually a little mark under the right eye of Donaire.
Like a mouse. Another hard left-hand body shot. I haven't heard much about Donaire as a body puncher, Emmanuel, but he throws to the gut with passion.
Yeah, he punches with accuracy and power with any punch that he delivers. It's very, very accurate. And the thing right now, I think Vasquez, as he opens up more, which he's going to have to pretty soon because he's getting behind on points, he's going to leave himself open to get caught with power shots more.
Donaire on the belt line with the body shot. You saw between rounds that he's trained by one of the rising prominent trainers in the sport, Robert Garcia, out of Oxnard, California. Garcia wasn't going to become one of the most illustrious trainers in the sport with fading talents like Antonio Margarito, but with somebody like Donaire, he can make the kind of splash that, for instance, Freddie Roach has made with Manny Pacquiao.
But I think he has Ortiz also.
Yes,
Ortiz
also has Victor Ortiz.
Yeah, Victor Ortiz. He's got some good young talent.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Excuse. He does not have Victor Ortiz. Victor Ortiz is trained by his brother Danny Garcia. It was a family feud.
He has Brandon Rios.
All right, yeah, that's right. He has Brandon Rios.
Right. I know he had another young
and
talent.
in fact, Donaire has sparred from time to time with Brandon Rios. There's Rachel Donaire, wife of Nonito. And when we talk about the altercation between the two at the news conference, Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. told me that had to do with some Twitter exchanges involving both Donaire's wife and his own wife.
It's just a matter of rounds.
Another implication of Twitter.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting how so many of the boxers' wives and girlfriends has got to be such a big part of our broadcast nowadays.
A brave new world.
papito.
¿Me está escuchando? Todos los saludos, que esto no es una amistad aquí.
Papito, mete esa recta al pecho.
Bueno, pero to the chest.
Oye, necesito que me diga para que no puedo ser
Hey, listen, keep it going up so you don't get hit. Okay? I'm good? Okay. Vamos arriba, vamos arriba.
Copy box numbers in the second round. Donaire 20 of 58, including 14 connected power shots. Vasquez 9 out of 32. So in the first two rounds, Vasquez has not really made the effort to be on the same page with Donaire in terms of punches thrown and landed. He's waiting.
You see Donaire start jabbing. He's not really driving hard jabs. He's trying to get Vasquez to start jabbing back at him. And as soon as Vasquez starts getting to his jabbing game with him, then he tries to sneak a fast right hand over top.
Earlier in the round, Emmanuel, we saw Donaire lead with a left hook. It'll be interesting to see if he does that again. If you're going to lead with a left hook, you have to have the footwork to get in position to do that. Roy Jones could do it. Floyd Mayweather can do it. And now we know that Donaire can do it, too.
Donaire can do it, too. He's one of those very gifted athletes, very well coordinated. I call him remind me of a gymnastic in terms of coordination and strength.
Now he's giving Vasquez a different look, dropping his hands. And he rips Vasquez with a left hook lead. And there was a perfect example. Can he finish him now?
He's trying to land that uppercut through the center.
Yes, he's going to take an uppercut. Vasquez is going to guard that way. Vasquez gets out of the corner and kind of grins as if that's a victory.
Well, that sudden imitation of Sergio Martinez ended with a clean left hook that led to that barrage in the corner.
It's amazing that he did so much damage to Vasquez with a punch that I don't think was even that clean. It just shows how much power that he has for a small fighter.
Well, he's fighting small fighters, Emmanuel. Why is that so exceptional for a little guy if he's fighting another little guy?
But you don't see small fighters punching with that type of power. They're just very unusual. I mean, his knockouts are devastating. In fact, one of the most devastating punches I would say in boxing. And normally that should be with the heavyweights or middleweights or something.
Well, we always talk about how you get hurt most by the punches you don't see coming. I think Vasquez was looking for a jab, and when Donaire ripped him with the lead left hook, he wasn't ready. Another great body shot.
Enjoys what he's doing, okay? Okay? When you hurt him, don't get too wild, don't get too crazy. Pick your punches, okay? Even if he's hurt, make yourself look good. Step to the side and get him with a good uppercut or with a good hook or to your right, and you know what I mean? Yeah. Go on, yeah.
It's a towel.
Papito, necesito que cuando esté por favor me meta la mano abajo, que está aquí toda la mano.
Here you see the left hook that hurt Vasquez, and as you can see, it was very difficult for Vasquez even to see where the punch was coming from. And it wasn't really even a clean blow. It
came over his glove.
Yeah, that's right.
Landed on top of the side of his head.
That's just a demonstration of the tremendous power that he has.
How can you generate that much power off that particular stance?
Because he springs from his leg, uses his full balance and with it from his legs. Same way that Nassim Hamed used to punch.
Yeah, that was a little bit like Prince Nassim. Donaire 14 out of 40 in that round. Vasquez 3 out of 25. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Okay, Jim, I got a 3-0, 30-26. No Nito Donaire. Jim, I gave him an extra point in round 3 when he almost knocked out Vasquez. But I got to tell you, I ain't seen a top-notch fighter fall for a feint like that in a long time. I mean, he did a monkey imitation, and then he hit him with a bullshit left hook from God knows where. And Vasquez fell for it and almost got knocked out. I mean, it's unbelievable the power that this kid's got. First 2 rounds, Donaire won easy because Vasquez is not doing nothing. 3-0, no Nito Donaire.
There's a mouse under Vasquez, his left eye now. Vasquez is starting to land his jab as Donaire acknowledges by nodding at it.
Donaire, he gives off the vibe that he really wants to make a statement impression here. And I think that Vasquez gets the vibe and trying to figure out how to counter it and deal with it. And the way he's lowering his hands here insolently, as though inviting Alvarez to try something. Vasquez, sorry.
These uppercuts are short, tight, and hard.
Yes, the more that Vasquez starts opening up and punching back, the more he's going to get caught. Even when he lands a punch, he doesn't land with the authority or the speed that Donaire lands his punches with.
Donaire holding the right glove open as though to parry Vasquez's
That's what
punch.
he's doing. Yes, he's trying to parry and then counter punch with the same hand that he parries with sometimes. And it takes great coordination to be able to do that.
Showing off his head movement.
It's as though Donaire has abandoned the idea of just breaking down Vasquez and is looking to land one punch that would lead to a dramatic close.
Double jab, right cross combination from Donaire. So fast. Vasquez, pretty good fighter, keeps sticking that jab in there. Getting a little bit more resolute in this round after having been out of the first 3, but it's another left hook from Donaire. Nonito Donaire was 9 years old when he was brought from General Santos City in the Philippines to the United States. Yesterday, he spoke to us about the difficulty of his genesis as a Filipino-American. He says he was an awkward kid.
He was one of those kids that just had to be picked on. You know, my ears were huge as anything. You know, my tooth was as big as a beaver. You know, it was everything that anyone and anything. So I was kind of like the fat kid in the playground.
The fat kid?
Is what we call it.
In the sense that you were picked on.
The target.
Yeah.
You were the target.
I was the target, and I was never picked because I was scrawny.
You were never picked for games? Or
Never picked for games. But mostly I was mainly the target. You know,
you
people.
were bullied around?
I was bullied around. I'd go home crying every time. I'd go home and say, you know, why am I living?
He's living so we can choose him for our boxing team. 59 out of 179 in the first 4 rounds, 29 out of 119 for Vasquez in power connects so far. And we spoke to you before the fight about Donaire's move to more power punching. He's landed 43 power punches in the fight, Emmanuel, to so far only 5 for Vasquez, who hasn't really tried many.
I am very, very impressed by his performance tonight. He's fighting the perfect fight with a fighter of Vasquez's ability, because Vasquez has a good defense, he's very patient, but he's still systematically breaking him down with punches the best that he could, because, you know, Vasquez won't throw too many punches. Leaving her, he found a little left uppercut in between that little movement right there.
The consensus top 5 pound for pound, Mayweather, Pacquiao, middleweight champion Sergio Martinez, Juan Manuel Marquez, whom you know well, and Donaire. Some ranking services rank Donaire ahead of Marquez in the number 4 spot.
Well, I have him right up there, very close. I mean, he hasn't had the big fights or the big names, but when we're just talking about the Marquez, Not Malcolm, Martinez is.
Yes, Martinez's
all those
style.
M's get me a little confused. But talking about his style, but the difference is even Martinez, he doesn't score that kind of knockout the way that this man did. Outside of the Paul Williams fight, he's not that devastating a puncher. This guy is tremendous as a puncher and a showmanship type fighter.
Hard right hand by Vasquez, his best punch of the fight so far. Right hand onto the cheekbone of Nonito Donaire. And Vasquez lands his jab again. He's loosening up just a little bit.
Yeah, he's wanting Vasquez to come in. He knows he's doing. He's enjoying that. He wants him to come in and give him more opportunities to counterpunch.
When he parries with that right hand like that,
I like that. It reminds me of the old-time fighters where they use a shoulder and the right hand to parry and roll punches.
Floyd Mayweather Sr. still teaches it.
Yeah. Beautiful. See there, he's rolling shots with his left shoulder. And he's rolling the right hands and picking off the left hand punches.
Meanwhile, Vasquez is having his best stretch here.
Yes, he is, Larry.
Yeah, we mentioned that he's getting a little bit looser and more fluid on offense, more willing to throw. CompuBox running total at the bottom of the screen shows you that the difference is not nearly as large in terms of landed punches in this round as has been the case in the 4 previous rounds. Last we looked, it was 14-11. And it's a little bit more even fight now as we exit the 5th.
What's the water? A little bit, Dad. Good.
Dame la toalla.
Get the towel.
Dame la toalla.
Come on, Papito, you gotta pull those punches out. Only one hand in my face, please. Are you good? Yeah. You got any problems with your eyes? No, I can see.
Agua.
Okay, right. And now let's switch that uppercut to a hook.
Both fighters in this fight seem to make weight fairly easily, 122 pounds. When we get to the main event, one of the two fighters in that bout struggled mightily to make weight, and it could affect tonight's tilt. We'll talk more about that when we get ready for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. against Marco Antonio Rubio. Right now we're in round 6. Nonito Donaire in the burgundy-colored silk trunks, gleaming in the light here, and the bright red, Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. Donaire more or less thoroughly in control of the first 5 rounds, though the best round so far for Vasquez was the 5th. Another slight change in technique for Donaire.
And it's another good round for Vasquez. It's going to, if he wins this year, the way it's going, he's going to have 2 rounds at least. He's won consecutively. He's picked up his pace at the risk of being hit, but so far he's getting away with his shots.
So you would have given him the 5th?
I would have given him the 5th. I thought it was, some of those rounds would be like comparison rounds, but I would have given him the last round.
No question, Vasquez is becoming more comfortable in the fight, pressing forward offensively now, throwing many more punches than was the case in the earlier rounds. Donaire switches southpaw.
I think this switch to southpaw reflects a certain kind of uncertainty about Donaire on how to attack Vasquez. Bloody nose for Vasquez, by the way.
Just a touch of blood on the tip of his nose. Just missing with a big counter right there. Nonito Donaire. Vasquez much more energetic with his jab now. Letting it go. And he's landed 7 more punches in this round than has Donaire. By CompuBox count. The fight's becoming more interesting.
I think Vasquez is winning this round also, but I feel that Donaire is kind of like pulling him into throwing more punches so he can catch him going down the stretch. That's just my feeling.
So to canonize the main event between Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and his 160-pound middleweight opponent, Marco Antonio Rubio. Rubio last year scored a dramatic upset of an unbeaten Canadian star named David Lemieux. He'd like to pull off the same feat against Chavez Jr. tonight. And there's a look at Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We mentioned that one of the 2 fighters in the main event struggled to make weight, and not for the first time in his career, it was Chavez Jr. He is a big middleweight to begin with, and yesterday when he came to the scales, he was in tough shape. We'll be talking about it with Larry Merchant in the lead-up to the main event. CompuBox numbers in the 6th round. Donaire 14 out of 43. Vasquez 25 out of 69. So Vasquez landed 11 more punches and threw 26 more punches in that round. That's a dramatic reversal from the numbers of our previous 5 rounds. And Harold, how do you have it through 6?
What's not getting a little bit closer? 4 rounds to 2, 58-55, Nonito Donaire. Jim, I think Wilfredo Vasquez won rounds 5 and 6 using that left jab. He's moving forward. He's walking Donaire down. He's landed a lot more. But here's the problem. Wilfredo Vasquez throws 1 punch at a time. Watch. A 122-pound guy is supposed to double something. For 6 rounds, this guy doubles nothing. 1 punch, 1 punch, 1 punch. And you can't win a fight throwing 1 punch. Wilfredo Vasquez has got to start moving his hands and double something. On the other hand, Nonito Donaire can't switch to lefty because if he does, he cannot protect that right eye. He carries the right hand high so that right eye doesn't swell anymore. If he goes southpaw, he leaves it wide open. 4-2, Donaire.
And Emmanuel, you were suggesting toward the end of the last round that you don't think Donaire cares much about having lost a couple of rounds because he's letting Vasquez come forward to set up counterpunches.
Yes, he wants him to engage more. I think he knows that his punching power is so much more power, more than Vasquez. He wants to get him committed to standing toe-to-toe more.
Well, this is as toe-to-toe as you can get. This is toenail to toenail.
Going to do something new with you right now. For the rest of the round, we 3 commentators, Larry Emanuel and myself, will lay out while we listen to Robert Garcia in Nonito Donaire's corner, if, in fact, he hollers any instructions into the ring.
Again. Good. Good. Again. There you go. 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 You stand up. You stand up. Hey, that wasn't low. That wasn't low. That wasn't low. That was not low. That was not low. That was not low. Let's go, Nonito. Take it to him. Take it to him, Nonito. Jab. Let's get the jab going. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Take it to him. Hands up high. Good, again. Side to side. Side to side. Good. Good.
I don't recall Donaire having even this small stretch of rounds where an opponent has stood with him, boxed with him, fought with him. He hasn't begun this much to think about in a while.
And actually has won the last couple of rounds, in my opinion.
Hard left hook by Donaire momentarily wobbled Vasquez.
Nonito, listen to me, okay? You can't handle with pressure. You're landing too many punches, but you're giving him a lot of breaks. Okay? Breathe deep. Deep. Breathe deep. Okay?
No problem.
That last hook hurt him. Okay? It was the bell rang, but you hurt him, okay? I want to see more of that. How is his power?
Okay.
Huh? Okay then. Then I want you to keep fighting smart. Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. Let me tell. Okay? Keep fighting smart. Come here, let me see. Okay? Keep going smart, but let's try to pressure on him. Let's back him up. Let's back him up. Okay? Let's start backing him up. He cannot handle the pressure. Let's start backing him up. Side to side.
CompuBox numbers in round 7. Donaire began to reassert himself with power shots. He was 22 out of 55 in the round. Vasquez 19 out of 64, but Donaire doubled Vasquez in connected power shots, and you saw the big left hook toward the end of the round that momentarily wobbled the Puerto Rican fighter.
Well, this is what Donaire wanted him to do, is to punch more, get exchanges with him, and not fight so defensive. That's what he wanted Vasquez to do. Now Vasquez is fighting the fight I think that Donaire wants him to fight.
Making Donaire a pretty smart guy if this pays off the way he wants it to.
He quit applying so much pressure and let Vasquez, so to say, get into the fight for a while. And right now, his punching power and accuracy is still, I think, too much.
Yeah, well, it certainly appears that he's not worried about being hurt by Vasquez. Although, as Harold pointed out, there's the subject of the right eye.
There's also the subject of Donaire moving up in weight. You know,
Agreed.
we keep, you know, it's just 4 pounds, but it's 4 pounds in little guys. And for all we know, his punches don't carry the knockout power they might have in lower weight
At
classes.
118.
And 115, where most of his fights have been.
Excellent point. And if he were to fade down the stretch of a 12-round fight while moving up in weight, he would be hardly the first ever to do that. That's happened plenty of times. Hard right hand and a really good body shot. Vasquez shaking his head as if to say, you can't hurt me. Excellent uppercut. Vasquez lands a jab. Body shot by Vasquez, couple of them. Donaire comes back with a right over the top. The danger of throwing the body shots, you get counted upstairs.
You know, and Donaire is very, I mean, you throw a right hand at him, and he'll like partially block it with his left hand and then throw a left hook at the same time with the hand that he blocks. That's the same punch that he knocked out, I think, Montiel with. And that's what makes it so dangerous when you throw a right hand at him sometimes.
Montiel launched a right, which was in effect a cue for Donaire. Donaire's big left hook.
Came a left hook right over top of it.
Like that.
The guy effect.
Larry, who said farce seldom beats force. What do you think of Donaire mugging at Vasquez like that?
I wanted to roll out a roll of toilet paper.
Water, Bobby. Let's go, Papito. Look at me. Papito, yes, Daddy. Come on, you gotta set it up. You know, it's just 2 uppercuts. Uppercut in the right, left uppercut too. Because he's feeling those also. Get in the middle of the ring, don't get to the ropes. When he gets into you, attack him with those uppercuts.
Okay, Nonito. Okay, let's pick it up. Let's pick it up.
CompuBox numbers in 8. Donaire was 19 out of 31. Vasquez 15 out of 61. Donaire doubled Vasquez in power connects, 16 to 8. So he was far more accurate. and were powerful in that round. Now we go to the ninth. He may not get the win, but Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. will get some respect for having turned the fight around to a certain extent,
Yes,
got back on the same page with
thinking
Donaire.
the same thing, Jim. And he's very good defensive when he had to take a punch. He's taking a punch. He's coming on. He's working behind the jab the best he can without committing to the point where he leaves himself open.
Hard right hand by Donaire.
Every time he jabs, he's got to always be watching out for a right hand to come over top.
Let's go.
Very little body punching in this game. If Donaire wants to be a knockout puncher, he's got to invest some time in body punching.
He did it early in the fight when he was throwing rights and lefts to the body. More recently, not as much.
Even then when he was throwing, Vasquez was blocking him for the most part. He couldn't get through, and then both guys have a fairly high protective cup too when it comes up over the very.
Larry
found a left good shot.
What a couple of punches. Tremendous uppercut, and the left hook to put him down.
And really, and all the time, Vasquez had his hand up. He found a hole between the gap. That's because of the very active punching power.
First time Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. has been down in his professional career.
And there we saw some signs of that quick-handed power. But Vasquez seems pretty stable despite that.
It was a remarkable combination, though.
Vasquez just wants to get out of the round now. Sometimes it's smart to run from your troubles.
He caught me. He just caught me, man. I was just standing right. You got to throw more than just one punch on the inside. Come on, you're doing a great fight. You got to throw punches.
Here we see the left uppercut come right up through the center. Even though Vasquez had his right hand on the side to protect for a left hook, Donaire has that great sense of talent of knowing where to throw certain punches that you can't give, and he brought it up right through the center.
Watch him pause, admire his work, look for the opening, and put him down. Patience. Yeah! Come on! Come on! Yeah! Like that! Donito! Robert Garcia's reaction in the corner.
Robert Garcia did a fantastic job working with Donaire as well as Rios.
Good trainer. Power punches in the ninth. Donaire was 9 of 15, and Vasquez 5 of 10. You saw the knockdown. Harold, how do you have it now?
Look at him, 88, 81, 7 rounds to 2. No Nito Donaire. Yeah, Jim, Wilfredo Vasquez, his only hope in the last 3 rounds is he's got to start throwing right hands. I mean, the whole fight, all he's doing is that left jab. He hasn't thrown a real right hand in anger, God knows how long. Now he's starting to come across with a right hand. He must have heard me. He's got to throw a lot of right hands and try and offset some of that point lead that Donaire's got. Donaire's definitely got an extra point to round 9 for the knockdown. I thought he won round 3 so big I gave him an extra point. 7 rounds to 2. No Nito Donaire.
Minutes left in the 10th. You got the impression coming in that Donaire was very focused on trying to get a knockout, particularly having developed a a vengeance motive against Vasquez Jr. as the result of what happened in the news conference this week. Will he be satisfied with a thoroughly effective win and having knocked Vasquez down? He should be, I think. He's moving up in weight. It's not an unappreciable factor.
No, but he's still going to go for that knockout, though. And the thing here, even though Vasquez is doing very well, you know, he's just leaving himself open without leaving himself open. Just those short punches that Donaire can come up between the middle, and he has so much power in those shots.
Well, Harold mentioned that Vasquez must throw right hands. The danger there, of course, is that counter left hook.
The counter left hook.
We've seen it.
No risk, no reward.
Another slight trickle of blood from the nose of Vasquez. Donaire's face shows punishment too now.
This is a tough fight for Donaire still, too.
There's that counter left hook again. Vasquez through the right. Donaire nailed it.
Looked like they was exchanging hooks, but there's so much more power and accuracy on Donaire's left hook as compared to Vasquez.
Donaire's been looking for a quality opponent, and to a certain degree found one tonight. He's been hit more in this fight than in any of the other 4 fights tracked by concubines. But we talked about him wanting to press for the knockout, and he's doing it right now, though with only a few seconds left in the round.
Roy Jones moves out.
He's got the Roy Jones, the Sergio Martinez.
Yeah. But those are 2 great fighters to have those after. Sergio's got the footwork, the body, head, movement, the whole little rhythm.
Don't give these rounds away. Okay? Don't give the rounds away, Nolito. Okay? Behind broken. Okay, don't give the rounds away.
Been broken
Okay,
for a second.
Okay, keep it cool. Keep moving side to side. Okay, you gotta do it. You gotta win this 2 rounds. Don't give them away. As soon as you land punches, you're hurting them, Nolito. Come on, you gotta see that too. You see it? Okay then. Let's pick it up. 2 fucking rounds is all we got. Okay? 2 rounds is all we got. Don't give rounds away. You let him throw too many punches and you're not coming back. Let's go. Okay? Let's go.
Concubines numbers in the 10th. Donaire 28 out of 50. Vasquez 22 of 61. Donaire an 18-13 advantage in power shots. Landed some heavy stuff down the stretch as he was trying to knock Vasquez out. He's already put the fight away on Harold Letterman's scorecard, barring a knockout disaster. Well, once again, to Vasquez's credit, he's pressing forward in the face of heavy punishment and trying to find a way to change the circumstances of the fight, even though it's very late.
Very good defense, too, yes.
Wilfredo Vasquez Sr. wasn't particularly interested in his son becoming a fighter. At the moment when Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. determined that he was going to leave pre-law school and attempt this, his father said, "You have to train with me for an entire year before I will let you go into the ring with somebody." Vasquez Jr. fulfilled the prerequisite, satisfied his father that he could do this, and the result has been an excellent professional career, including a world title.
And he's fighting a good fight tonight, even though he may lose his fight most likely. He's fighting a very credible fight that I would ever have to see him sitting one of the top fighters in the world at the 122-pound weight division.
You okay? You okay?
Headbutt.
Watch your head. Cuidado con la cabeza. Let's go.
Accidental head. No blood. A lot of people think of Donaire as a relatively new star, but he's 29 years old. Hasn't lost a fight since his second professional fight back in April of 2001. It's been nearly 11 years. Unbeaten over that span. Knockout win over Victor Chinian. The tremendous knockout win over Montiel. As we mentioned, he's risen to the top 5 pound for pound.
We gotta get this round, all right? Okay, Nonto? Let's go. Let's pick it up, Nonto. He cannot handle you. Let's go, Nonto. Finish strong this round. Listen to me. Let's go, Nonto. Let's finish strong.
Last round. Last round. He's robbing. He's taking the fight. Taking the fight away. Come on, lively. Lively, papito. Close your eyes. Drink water.
Último round.
It's the last round. Good.
Rachel Donaire watching at ringside. Last round upcoming. Donaire has landed 204 punches in the fight by Concubine. Only 148 for Vasquez. Donaire with 128 to 50 edge and power connects. In the last 2 rounds, Donaire has landed 57 punches. His 2 highest connect rounds of the fight. Softening Vasquez up to try to produce the big knockout in the 12th? We'll see. Donaire dancing now from side to side. He's shown all the elements of his game tonight, Emmanuel.
Yes, he got hit with a few right hands, along the way too, though. Vasquez did hit him with some right hands that he didn't counter. He just was hit with them. But I think he's still shown that he has enough control, and he feels at least, in the fight. He can do what he wants, pretty much how he wants, without being in the danger of being hurt by Vasquez.
Well, I think he's shown that he's a really good fighter. This is a good win for him. But I'm not ready to bronze him yet. He hasn't knocked me out, or Vasquez for that matter. But you want to see him take on maybe some of the real featherweights out there and see what happens.
I would like, even though he may not stay in that weight, I would love to see him and Gamboa. With Gamboa stayed there. That would 2 well-coordinated guys, brilliant amateur backgrounds, punching. That would be a brilliant fight. I would love to see.
Are you officially the trainer of Yuriorkis Gamboa now?
Yes, but even without being a trainer, I'm just speaking as a fan. I would love to see Gamboa and him fight at 126. If he goes up to 26 and Gamboa stays at 26, I think it would be a very entertaining fight.
I totally agree, because everybody thinks that Gamboa has potential top pound-for-pound type talent, and certainly has potential top pound-for-pound type speed.
Okay, let's go.
Robert Garcia has now told our interpreter, Jerry Olaya, that Nonito Donaire has hurt his right hand. And so perhaps that affects the question of whether he tries for a knockout here. Sergio Martinez lost considerable luster when he went 11 rounds and got his nose bloodied against Darren Barker. He also produced the late knockout that sort of redeemed it a little bit.
Look, this kid has been put under the microscope because of the hype and hope in him. Made the number 4 or 5 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, etc. And so the expectations have to be high. And very often the question is, yes, did you win, but did you live up to expectations or even exceed them?
And for everyone who's been so excited about the prospect of what Donaire can do at featherweight, for instance, at 126, did his inability to knock out Vasquez raise questions at 122? Or was it a tremendous performance against an all-around terrific fighter?
Yeah, I think Vasquez fought a very tight defensive fight, very careful, very cautious, but still fight just offensive enough to make it interesting.
So they complete the 12 rounds. And Harold, how'd you have the scorecard at the end of the fight?
117, 109, 9 rounds to 3, Nonito Donaire. I mean, I just think Wilfredo Vasquez just didn't do enough, in all honesty. Nonito Donaire landed the harder punches, got an extra point in round 9 for the knockdown, got an extra point in round 3 because he won it very, very big. Totally dominated the fight. I gave Vasquez the 12th round, but all in all, it was a Donaire performance, no doubt. I had it 8 rounds to 3 at 1 even.
Harold, who are the official judges?
Okay, Jim. Tonight we have Dr. Ruben Garcia. He is a physician. He doesn't practice medicine. He's been judging forever. He's a pretty darn good judge. I like him very much. He's from South Texas. Levi Martinez, my hero for that decision. He voted for Matthew Macklin in the fight with Felix Sturm in Germany. And you know, I've watched that numerous times. Matthew Macklin definitely won the fight, didn't get the decision. So Levi Martinez is a real good judge. Don Carla from Connecticut, somebody that I had a lot to do with getting into boxing. He's been judging 11 years, 57 years old, judged all over the world. He judges in New York and in Connecticut, very steady, always usually, you know, always has the right decision. Good judge.
Rachel Donaire, waiting at ringside for the official decision and waving to our camera. Thank you, Rachel. There's Nonito, who had a spirited discussion, as you saw in the center of the ring, with Wilfredo Vasquez. It certainly appeared for a while as though they weren't any closer friends than they had been at the beginning of the evening, but eventually the obligatory hug, a sign of respect. Here's Donaire holding out his hands, and it appears there's blood on the left hand. We were told it was the right hand that was hurt. Apparently we misinterpreted, or it was casually wrong, but the bottom line is it appears it is the left hand which has somehow been damaged in the fight. And now let's go to Michael Buffer and find out the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds here at the Alamo Dome, we go to the scorecards. Ruben Garcia scores it 115 to 112 for Wilfredo Vasquez. Levi Martinez scores at 117 to 110 for Nonito Donaire. Don Trella scores at 117-110 to the winner by split decision, the Filipino Flash, Nonito Donaire.
Well, there was one fascinating scorecard there, considering that Donaire scored a knockdown of Vasquez and had got